All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into our video here on teaching with the ADCs. And you might be thinking, ADCs, there's something wrong with that picture, but no, this is exactly what we are trying to talk about, and we'll get into that in just a minute. So first things first, I wonder who has a bigger attention span. Is it the goldfish that we see on the left of our screen, or is it you and me with our smiling faces over here on the right-hand side of the screen? Well, they have done studies, and I still don't know exactly how they measured the goldfish attention span, but they did find that people have about an 8-second attention span, and goldfish have a 9-second attention span. So the lowly goldfish has a 1 second longer attention span than people do. That's something interesting. So you might be thinking, Steve, why are you talking about this? But attention spans are important in teaching. And learn from my mistakes. I remember as a young instructor that I would try to do things in my history classroom that took a long time to do, and I could see that I was losing my students. If I tried to engage in a longer lecture, or we did something that took longer than about 15 minutes or about 10 minutes, I saw rapidly that I was losing my students. So I quickly developed a format that helped me. And we tried to change activities every 10 to 15 minutes. So I moved, if we were doing lecture, watching a video, we moved into doing another one, worksheet discussion, and then another activity to go on through. And I found that my students were a lot happier, their attention span was better, and I had far fewer behavior problems inside the classroom doing things that way than what I did before. And so this has served me well for the last 30 years or so that I've been doing this. So learn from our mistakes. Trying to do an activity over a long period of time, we're going to lose our students. What we see in this next slide is what happens with student attention, where initially we get a slight bump up in attention when we start a class, start an activity. But after about 10 minutes, this kind of looks like a roller coaster of carowinds. Man, we're up here, but then we're losing people very, very quickly over time. And it's roughly that magic 10-minute mark where we really start losing our students' attention. So we need to do something about that. I remember as a young driver that they taught us the 10 and 2 position on the steering wheel. And I think we can apply this to teaching in our classroom. That for about every 10 minutes of instructional time, we need to spend at least 2 minutes doing some other type of activity to reset our students' attention. So think about the 10 and 2. 10 minutes of content delivery, and then 2 minutes of doing another activity. So what happens if we do this is that we can reset these periods of high attention. We can see from the graph we started out, we're starting to lose folks after about 10 minutes, but doing these other activities, which we'll talk more about in a minute, provides the reset, and students are back at that high level attention. So instead of seeing the roller coaster at carowinds, what we're seeing instead is many periods where we can reset activities and reset students' attention span so they're remembering a whole lot more than before when we saw that roller coaster at carowinds when they were probably remembering very little. So these resets do work. And so how do we do that? Well, we do something called absorb, do, and connect. So if we're delivering information, which is something we do a lot inside our social studies classroom, we want to do this in no more than 10-minute time blocks. So if we're doing a mini lecture or we're showing a video or in whatever way students are taking in information, we want to keep these short, keep these to no more than 10 minutes, and then do that couple-minute reset period where students do is where the D comes in with the ADCs. They're doing something active with that information. That may be something like writing a 1-minute paper on what they remember. That might be something about drawing a picture of something they've learned. If you were talking about the 3 branches of government, maybe they could draw legislative, executive, judicial. Maybe they could take a stand, which is very easy. You put up in your classroom sign that says agree, another that says disagree. You pose a question on the material that's been presented. Have students go over one of the other signs and be prepared to take a stand. Why do you agree with the statement? Why do you disagree? Maybe have students create a bumper sticker summary, which I love, 7-word or less bumper sticker summary on the content that's been delivered there so far. So we could do a do activity, we could do a connect activity. Connect is just really means students are going to interact and they're going to discuss what they've learned with other members of the class. So that could be something as simple to do as a think, pair, share. Think, where you give students a minute to think about a question that you posed. Pair, find a partner. Share, talk for a minute about the particular subject that you're working in that time. Perhaps you could have a small group of 3 or 4 students if you're teaching in a classroom setting like that, where they could talk on a question that they're given. Perhaps you could play a short game using some technology, Kahoot, Jeopardy, something of that nature. Go through a column in Jeopardy, since Jeopardy takes longer. But use those do and connect activities every 10 minutes or so to keep that student attention span going. I remember talking with the instructor, I guess it's been a few years ago, and talking, all I do in my class is lecture. And you can cover, quote unquote, a lot of material doing that, but wow, our students really going to remember it. And there's a huge difference between covering something and learning something. You can say, oh, we covered that yesterday, but unless the students learned it, there is no coverage. You may have talked about it, but students haven't learned it. So we can do a lot better than lecture. I remember hearing about a teacher here in the College of Education at App that spent like a 25-minute lecture on lecturing students about not lecturing, which I thought was kind of counterproductive. Maybe that instructor could have modeled instead some things that students could do instead with that valuable class time. So we want to try to get away with as much as possible, get away from rather, as much as possible the lecturing. And if we do that lecturing, we want to try to break that up with the 10 and the 2. You'll be able to find a couple things immediately after this video. There is a handout on active learning strategies to get students up and moving. There are 10 of those that you can find on the handout immediately following this. And as well, I did a presentation at the COA, the National Adult Ed Conference, back about a month ago, and I had my handout from there. Producing Powerful Presentations is also there. That talks a little bit more about how to manage your time as you're giving presentations and as you're teaching. So I hope you'll find both of those things valuable. Just want to thanks for your time for watching this video, and again, really looking forward to working with you through the rest of this course. Thank you.